Hey guys, Mr. Kennedy back with another video, and this video is going to be dealing with invertebrates. When we talk about invertebrates, there's two main branches. There's the parazoa, which are the ones with no true tissue, and the eumetazoa, which are the ones with true tissue. Let's talk about the parazoa first. Parazoa are invertebrates. They're animals without backbones. They're the closest lineage to the ancestral protists that we have. They have no tissue whatsoever, and there is only one phylum, the phylum Porifera, which are our sponges. Now, Porifera does mean pore bearer, which it looks kind of like a pore, like a hollow vesicle. They do have specialized cells, but no tissues and no organs to speak of. They have no symmetry, so they're asymmetrical. That means you can't split them in any direction and get two equal halves. And as an adult stage, they're sessile, which means they do not move. They're stationary. Now, the eumetazoa, these are animals with true body tissue. There's going to be several phylums here, so let's go through them. First, we're going to start out with the radiates. They have radial symmetry, all of these animals. The first one is the phylum Cnidaria, which are your hydra, your jellyfish, your sea anemones, your corals, and you can see some of these on the right-hand side. They have two cell layers. That's one distinct characteristic. They have tissues, but no organs. And you can think about a jellyfish of having a tissue, but you don't see organs in there. They have tentacles surrounded by a gut, and most of them release enzymes into the gut cavity, and they have an absorption lining in it, so they have like an extracellular digestion. The second class of radiants are the ctenophores, which are your comb jellyfish, and they basically have 8 rows of fused cilia. They're the largest animals that have cilia. Remember, cilia are the tiny hairs used for locomotion, and their tentacles are used to have coleoplasts, which are basically adhesive structures that attach or capture prey. The next class, or the next group, is the acolymates. Remember, these are ones who do not have a colon. They do not have a distinction in the mesophyll layer there. And these are your platyhelminths, which are like your flatworms, which is seen up here on the right, a fluke, tapeworm, for example. They have bilateral symmetry, means you can split them down the middle into 2 equal halves. They can be a predator, a scavenger, or a parasite. And there is some cephalization that goes on. There is a slight development of the brain and sense organs, etc. The next one is the pseudocolymates. Now, the pseudocolymates have a false colon. They do have a partially lined cavity with mesoderm, and Rotifera is the first phylum that we have. They're the first group to actually have a digestive system. They have a hydrostatic skeleton, and you might have a hydrostatic lawnmower or tractor at home. It has liquid inside of it that helps it move. Well, it's similar here. They have an outer proof covering that's held up by this hydrostatic, this fluid pressure inside of them. And something very unique, some Rotifera are all females, and they reproduce by a process called parthenogenesis, which is a type of reproduction in which they can actually take an unfertilized egg and make another female out of it. Some other animals do this, but Rotifera are specialized for this reason. Some more pseudocolymates that we have are the nematodes, and anytime I think of a nematode, I'll automatically think of a roundworm. They're a very widespread group, over 900,000 species that we think. They have a tough cuticle. It's actually an exoskeleton, outside covering. They do decomposition and nutrients. Now, there is one, the Trichinella spiralis, which is down here, causes disease, and it's usually passed by people who eat uncooked pork or improperly prepared pork, and it gets into your digestive system. The female does, and she will bore into your intestines and release juveniles from her body, and they will flow throughout your blood system, and they might embed into your muscles, where they actually cause the muscles to elongate so they can fit or bore into the muscle, and then they cause the muscle to release hormones which cause blood vessel growth, so they were fed, and it's an entire process. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, now we talk about the colymates. The colymates are the ones that have true body cavities, and it is lined with mesophyll. And if you remember, colymates are 2 groups. There's the protostomes and the deuterostomes. Start off with the protostomes. Lophiophoriates are like your sea mats, your tube worms, your lampreys. If you look down here, they're classified by this lophiophore, which is like a folding of these tentacles, these little cilia tentacles. And they use them for feeding. They're usually around their mouth, and they bring it in. And there's some that have them externally, and some of them that have them internally, like this little lamp shell down here. Another protostome would be the mollusk, and you're probably very familiar with mollusks: squid and octopus, clams and snails, slugs, such as that. They have a soft body that's often protected by a shell, and there's 3 body parts. They have a foot, which is the big part down at the bottom usually that they move with. They have a visceral mass, which is their internal organs, and then they have a mantle, which is it secretes some type of shell or covering. They also usually have a radula, which is their mouth, and you can see a picture of it down here in the bottom right-hand corner. It's like a rasp scraping tool that they use to open different things with. And like I said, they are true coelomates, and this increases the complexity and the specialization of internal organs to be coelomates. Now, to continue on with the coelomates, is still another protozome. The annelid, and anytime I think of annelid, I definitely think of worms. You got your earthworm, your leeches, your flatworm, your fan worms. So that they have a true body segmentation. Their body is segmented; it has lines. If you ever looked at an earthworm, you can tell it has segments in it. This segment represents specialization. They also have a closed circulatory system. They have a brain-like ganglia. And they're hermaphroditic, which means they have both male and female organs, but even though that's true, they usually do cross-fertilize. The next protozome is the anthropods, and these are like your trilobites. I can't speak today. Trilobites, which are extinct, and you see a lot of fossils of these. There's a picture in your book of one of these. There's crustaceans, spiders, insects. You know, this is the most prolific phylum in the world. 2 out of every 3 organisms you see come from this phylum, so they're very successful. They have segmentation, which allows for specialization. They have a hard exoskeleton, which means they have to molt. They have to break it open whenever they are growing. Right? They have jointed appendages, an open circulatory system, and a lot of cephalization. Now, to look at the 3 groups real quickly of the arthropods, the arachnids are one, which are characterized by 8 legs and 2 body segments. That's your spiders, your ticks, etc. Crustaceans have gills and 2 pairs of antennae, which are like your crabs and your lobsters and your barnacles and your shrimp. Then you have your insects, which are 6 legs and 3 body parts. You know, we know more of these than anything else if you were to start listing them, okay? The next coelomate is actually a deuterostome, and this is the echinodermata, or echinoderms. And these are like your sea stars, your sea urchins, your cucumbers, etc. They have a spiny skin usually, and they can be sessile, which means they don't move, or they're very slow moving, 1 of the 2. And they usually have pentaradial symmetry or bilateral. There's actually radial symmetry, but pentalateral means there's usually 5 branches that you can break it up into. Now, just a quick review of invertebrates. You might want to pause the video here and see if you can answer these questions, because if you can, you kind of got a good idea of what I just said. Okay, so here's just a quick check. All right, now that you're back, maybe you have the answers. So let's go over. Which group includes the snails, clams, and squid? That would be the phylum mollusk, right? Mollusca. Which group are the sponges? That would be the porifera. Which are the flatworms? The flatworms are the platyhelminths. The segmented worms are your annelids. The roundworms are your nematodes. Which group has a jointed appendages and exoskeleton? Be your arthropods. Which group has radial symmetry? That would be 2 groups. Which 2 groups have radial symmetry, I should say. That would be your cnidaria and your echinoderms. What is the adaptive advantage of bilateral symmetry? It allows for cephalization. And which group has no symmetry? That would be your porifera. Okay, guys, I hope this has helped you a little bit, and I will talk to you guys soon.